Yo, we back with part two, man. The Julio Foolio trial is going on. Julio Foolio killers did make a lot of mistakes, a whole lot of big mistakes. We back with part two. Hey, y'all don't want to miss nothing. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button and hype me up. Throw the video on the algorithm or something. You know what I'm saying? Let's get right into it.
By Mr. Jones, he talks about on the east side, the west side. These terms, 6 block and 1200, refer to areas of Jacksonville. This is a territorial gang war, and these gangs are in certain areas and have control over certain areas of Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, you will hear in this evidence, has committed resources to a gang unit, and it's staffed by several gang detectives who get training and education in how to investigate gangs, how to maintain information and intelligence on those gangs. One of the things they do is they monitor that. They monitor their social media. And you will hear testimony from some of these gang detectives in this case. These detectives, each of them specializing in specific gangs to give full commitment by the Sheriff's Office to this gang war and the violence that's occurring in the streets of Jacksonville and Duval County. So Charles Jones belonged to and was affiliated to the wrong group. He was their spokesperson. You will find in the evidence in this case that these defendants, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, are 1,200 gang members. You will also hear that Isaiah Chance is an ATK gang member affiliated closely with 1,200. Now, you're not going to hear evidence that Mr. Gathright is a gang member, and we haven't charged anything in our indictment about that, but you're going to hear he is associating with all of these gang members and was a fully committed participant in this murder.
You did all that and they ain't even let you in the gang? You out here sliding, done shot Julio Foolio in the foot before, done killed Julio Foolio. You putting in all this work, you letting all these rappers rap, and because you a Fortnite champion, they didn't let you in the game? Or you was an idiot? Yeah, you stupid.
But these gangs, they despise and abhor each other, the evidence will show. So I want to talk to you about the murder itself.
All they lawyers sitting up there looking like, yeah, y'all cooked.
So you heard mention in the Dead Op, or the Foolio Dead drill rap video by Spinabins and Wappa with the Choppa, the one that started with the blue screen. What you're looking at on the upper part of that screen, you can see Embassy Suites, USF, you can see the USF Research Park. That's Fowler, and that is the main entrance to the University of South Florida's campus. This is all just to the east of Bruce B. Downs, right? To the lower part, you have an extension of 40th Street, which becomes McKinley. And right there on the corner, you heard them mentioning Holiday Inn, which is running horizontal. Next to it is a vertical building. That is the Home to Suites. And it is on the very south end, or the bottom of the photograph, on that vertical building. There is a portico there, an entrance to that hotel. That is where the shooting in this case occurs. Now, in this photograph, you can see on the far left, there is a La Quinta Inn. That becomes relevant in the state's case because one of these high-powered rifle rounds went all the way across and went through and into a room, and there was recovered projectiles. This is more of a close-up. Now, on the bottom of the photograph, you can see, to the bottom right, you can see an entrance into the Home to Suites parking lot from McKinley. And you can see right at the bottom of the building a square offset. That is the roof of the portico, the entrance to the hotel. Just a more close-up photograph. So I want to walk through several videos with you that were recovered in the investigation by the Tampa Police Department here in Tampa that show what's occurring. Unfortunately, my laser pointer is not, well, maybe it will. It actually is working a little bit. Okay, usually LED screens will absorb the laser. So you're going to see here, you're going to see the Dodge Charger, Mr. Jones' Dodge Charger pulling into the portico. And you can see up here, that's a few minutes off. It's actually around 4:34, 4:35 a.m. in the morning. It's June 23rd of 2024. But he's pulling into that portico, having just turned off southbound McKinley. You can see here, this is a Hyundai that'll go down, turn around, and come up behind him. That's being driven by Armani, who is his, Armani Turner, excuse me, who is his girlfriend.
But yes,
I can't see the laser.
Yeah.
it doesn't work great on the LED screen.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So
What you're describing, I can't.
Yeah, I thought that might happen, Your Honor, with the jurors in the back.
that's fine.
row.
So just, Mr. Harmer will try to be as descriptive as he can, okay?
Yeah. So if you're looking at the car with the tail,
Be descriptive as he can. No, y'all got to give me a laser that work. I'm trying to bury the money. Got the laser, get that man a laser that work on the screen so he can point out what he need to point out.
lights lit up, that's the Hyundai on the top of the screen. That's outside of the portico. It's going to continue in the direction it's pointing. It'll do a U-turn, a sharp U-turn, and pull in right behind Charles Jones' Dodge Charger. Mr. Jones is in the front passenger seat. The car is being driven by his friend Xavier Edwards. The car that is sitting there already in the portico belongs to an employee. That's unrelated to the case. And this steaming coming off there, that's coming from the building. It has nothing to do with the cars. You're going to see Mr. Jones. He's wearing a red knit cap. He's wearing a white T-shirt. You will see him exit the Charger and walk into the hotel. So what happens is, while they were out that night, he had made a reservation, but because they arrived so late, it was given away. In this video, you'll see him return. In some instances, the video is being accelerated slightly, like right now. There's a car pulling in to the parking lot and going northbound. That becomes very relevant, and I'll explain that in a few minutes.
So who that pulled in and went northbound?
This car, a Nissan Altima, is being driven by two of Mr. Jones' friends. They had gone around to the other side of the hotel and were just coming back. You're going to see an individual named Taifa or Taifa McCrae and Miss Albritton, who is dressed in a all-pink suit, who are friends of Mr. Jones.
Can't no video be complete without a bop.
Bop it!
Crazy, bro.
They exit and they go into the hotel to use the restroom, and they're
Bopped out. She got on the bright. Anytime you see a bop with a bright wrestling suit on, straight bop.
Bop it!
actually inside the lobby when the shooting occurs. When Taifa got out of the front seat of the Altima, another young lady, Camilla Bentley, slid in behind him in the front seat. Now you're going to see another car come by. This is a small silver Chevy Cruze. This you will find in the evidence is the surveillance tracker vehicle that was utilized by these conspirators, by these defendants, to follow, to track and stalk Mr. Jones and his friends, giving real-time, by communications, by phone, real-time location data and information about where he would be. This car passes by, being driven by defendant Isaiah Chance, his girlfriend. You saw her earlier, Miss Andrews.
So that was Isaiah, aka Gutter Zay, aka Mr. What they call him, Rich Off War, and Alicia Andrews, the other bop.
Bop it!
Is in the front passenger seat. The assault team is already present on the west side of the hotel. That was the car that had pulled in earlier and went northbound and did not pass the portico.
Oh, so they got there before Isaiah and Alicia and them even got there. The shooters was already there.
This is a mounted camera, by the way, folks, on the hotel.
That make me feel like it could have been somebody else that was tracking them. Because how y'all beat the tracker car there? How did y'all know he was going to be there?
That's facing east-southeast. If you look in the upper right part of the screen by the two palm trees, you're going to see right before the shooting happens a masked individual's face pop out. The evidence in this case will show that is defendant Rashad Murphy. He is the Glock shooter. This is the beginning of the, well, actually it's not. First we're going to see the Chevy Cruze come by. And then the Chevy Cruze will do a three-point turn. You'll see that in other video evidence shortly, and it turns around and goes back out. And now it's exiting. Mr. Chance drives right past the victim and exits the parking lot of the hotel literally within seconds of the murder occurring and starting. You will see him exiting to the right, going southbound on McKinley.
This one I don't even trust going outside a hotel at night, bro. You gonna see me 2 times. When I'm checking in and when I'm leaving. That's it. I ain't going out for nothing.
The evidence will show that he goes down, he does a U-turn and comes back north on McKinley and passes the hotel just before the shooting begins. There's the shooter. Xavier Edwards tries to escape from the shooting. You can see the other 2 cars, one being driven by Camilla Bentley, who's going forward, the other one being driven by Romani Turner, who's going backwards. In their haste to flee from the shooting, they actually collide with each other, and they both end up going southbound on McKinley. They go different directions. Now, this is what I was talking about, where by the palm trees you will see a head pop out right before the full appearance of the shooters. That is Rashad Murphy. You will see another shooter run over to that tree just to the center of the of the video screen, just to the right of that Lexus SUV. The evidence will show in this case that that is defendant Gathright.
I see him. Ooh. They so stupid they could have shot each other.
On the top of the screen, you see a Mercedes SUV and a yellow car, and you see an individual moving around. The evidence will show that is the defendant, Davion Murphy, who was firing. And you can see in this evidence that Mr. Edwards attempts desperately to flee from these shooters, but what he actually does is he drives directly into a crossfire, a vortex, if you will, of high-powered rifle fire. The car flees down the west side of the hotel, heading north. Now, just around the corner, wrapping around to the west side of the hotel, the attack team parks the car. They get out and move into position coming around to that corner. As they move through there, they pass a Tesla. This is a video from a Tesla. There are multiple screens and videos you will see from this Tesla, which was in Sentry mode, activated and recorded. Officers met with the owner the next morning, who showed them this video on the screen inside of the Tesla, and they were able to collect this video. In this instance, and you can see to the far right, you can see a charging station with cables hanging off of it. You will see in the grass area by the charging station, you will see Davion Murphy running by, holding a rifle, wearing all black with an orange ski mask.
The Murphys. I see him. Boy, they is fried.
And he's heading up to that area by that yellow Bronco and the Mercedes SUV, where he later pops out. Now, in a minute, you're going to see Xavier Edwards accelerating that Dodge Charger around the corner. You'll see its headlights sweep across those, I believe, probably cypress trees right there. There comes the headlights. He is now fleeing up the northwest side of the Home to Suites. You're going to see Mr. Murphy, Davion Murphy, unload with that rifle down the west side of that hotel. Mr. Jones' Charger, after being impounded and transported to the Tampa Police Department, impound lot, all of those yellow marks, other than the ones on the hinges, are going to be impacts. So you see Ms. Turner, Mr. Jones.
3 bops.
Bop it! Bop it! Bop it!
Jones' girlfriend in the upper left. She was in the Hyundai. Miss Randolph, her friend, was in the Hyundai. And Robert Howard, who is a friend of Charles Jones, was in the Hyundai with those women, sitting directly behind the Dodge Charger. You see Tafa McCrae and Aaliyah Albritton, the woman who was in the pink outfit, who were in the Nissan Altima. Xavier Edwards was wounded. He was shot in his right arm. He had a grazing wound to his head, shot in the shoulder. This is him at the hospital. being treated. Sustained multiple gunshot wounds. And you can see lacerations from glass or projectiles to his left hand. He is one of the victims of one of the attempted murder counts charged against Davion and Rashad Murphy and against Sean Gathright. Gino Norris. Mr. Norris is a longtime friend of Charles Jones, going back several years into their youth. He was
I ain't even know about him getting shot.
in the back seat of the Charger. He had come with Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Jones had traveled here from Jacksonville to celebrate the birthday. When they arrived here, it was on Friday night, and they stayed at an Airbnb in Pinellas County. The next day, they stayed at an Airbnb in Pasco County in Holiday. And I'm going to show you here shortly where Mr. Jones was posting on his Instagram account that he would be here in Tampa. He actually appeared at a couple of clubs and put up advertisements for those appearances. But he was asking people if they, advertising that he was having a pool party for his birthday party that Saturday of this weekend. That would have been the 22nd of June, 2024, at the Airbnb. And you'll see in the Instagram post, he was advising people that follow him, send me a DM and I'll send you the address. So they actually did, and a lot of people showed up at that Airbnb in Holiday. And eventually, because of the crowds, the owner of the Airbnb shut it down and kicked them all out. And that's why they were trying to find lodging at the Home to Suites later that night after Mr. Jones had made these appearances, which we'll discuss in a minute. But Mr. Norris had traveled here with his friend Charles Jones and with Mr. Edwards. He was in the back seat. Mr. Jones was shot in the right arm. He is also one of the victims of the 3 attempted murder counts against the shooters in this case. Now, when Mr. Edwards and Mr. Gino Norris, when that Charger came to a stop finally, they quickly realized that Charles Jones was gone. He died very fast. They bailed out of the Dodge Charger. They were both shot. Mr. Norris will tell you he had been asleep and had been woke up by the crashing of the Dodge Charger. You will see that as it went up the northwest side of the hotel, there was a curb and a grass area where there's a dumpster. It went right over the curb, right through that grassy area and into a north area where there's another parking lot before it finally stopped, bullet riddled and steaming. Mr. Edwards, Mr. Norris bail out of the car and they run from these shooters because they don't know where they are. They run into a Holiday Inn and they leave a massive blood trail that leads into that Holiday Inn, which police would later follow when they arrive because of the multiple 911 calls being generated from all of the noise of the gunfire. Now, Camilla Bentley, I told you, had slid into the driver's seat. You can see these impacts from gunfire to the rear window of the Altima. That rear window would have been closest to the shooters. Miss Bentley was also wounded.
I ain't know she
is our 4th victim.
So did they get 1, 2, 3? That would have been what? 1 murder and 3 attempted murder charges?
This is her in the hospital being treated for a bullet grazing wound to her right upper arm. Now, going back, I told you I would show you, and you will see in the evidence, Mr. Jones' Instagram account, and you can see the name Julio Foolio. That's his celebrity name, his rap name, and his street name. He is advertising that he is going to be appearing at Teasers. You see that in the middle of the advertisement on Nebraska Avenue, 9700 North Nebraska Avenue. He is going to be appearing on June 22nd. So for his birthday, you can see B-Day in the middle there. He is advertising, and then you also can see Mr. Howard there in the yellow. He was one of the individuals in the Hyundai. He's advertising his whereabouts on June 22nd, where he is going to be. This is another advertisement. D-Day Bash for Julio Foolio teasers, June 22nd, 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. And you can see in the lower left on your screens where he is saying my Airbnb pool party, June 21st, that was the Friday night one, and my official birthday party, June 22nd, club teasers. He gives the club address. So he's giving his location where he's going to be. Now, this is a message sent to a phone that Mr. Murphy, Rashad Murphy, was utilizing. On June 22nd, he receives this confirmation concerning, and I'm going to come back to this later, and I'll let you look at it in a little more detail, but it's concerning the booking of an Airbnb in Tampa on June 22nd. This is being sent in the early morning hours of the 22nd, and the owner is telling him that the HOA requires for security purposes that all guests booking with us provide a valid ID through the Airbnb message portal. Mr. Murphy obliged.
Come on, man. No, y'all ain't gonna give it to me like that. Y'all ain't gonna get. Hell no. Ain't no way he used his ID, bruh. Come on, man. What made you think they weren't gonna come get you? Then ain't none of the Murphys leave Florida. All of them. None of y'all left Florida. All y'all stayed in Florida. You sent the Airbnb the child was at in Tampa your ID? Lock them up. Matter of fact, they need a long time to think about what they did, man. Go on here, give them life. Give them life. They got to think about this was dumb. Why would you do that?
And in the phone that he was utilizing, he sends his photograph back to the Airbnb owner. Now, this is a Vivint or Vivint camera mounted at the residence of Sean Gathright. This is June 22nd, Saturday, in the middle of the day. This is the beginning of that day for these conspirators. You're going to see Mr. Gathright and Mr. Chance loading a Chevy Impala that is being driven by Mr. Gathright, Sean Gathright. It is registered to his mother, but it is the car that he drives and operates. And it is the car that transports the shooters, the assault team of which he is part of in this case. You're going to see them loading it with book bags, but you're also going to see them loading it with rolling duffel bags, long bags that appear to have weight to them. That's Mr. Gathright, Mr. Chance. You will see the evidence that they are friends. That is the Impala, the black car.
Right, bro. Oh my God.
Yeah. We're talking about how they're going to load the heaviest bags into the trunk first. The BMW on the top part of the screen belongs to Mr. Chance. He would later go and retrieve his girlfriend, Miss Andrews, and bring her back to this residence. And that's in Jacksonville. Now, at some point that afternoon before they leave, Mr. Chance brings his contribution to the...
What y'all be on in Jacksonville with them slides, man? Everybody got on some slides. That's why y'all y'all can't get out the gym fast enough. Everybody want to wear slides.
The assault team. This is going to be in slow-mo, but you're going to see a Glock handgun with an extended magazine. You see his finger resting down the side of the slide. He tucks the gun into his waistband as he walks back into Mr. Gathwright's residence.
And Mr. Gathwright, mother and grandma gave him all the footage. Lord G. Mr. Gathwright not even
Notably,
in the game.
He knows the combination of Mr. Gathwright's residence. And you can see the extended magazine coming out from the bottom of his hand. You can see the trigger guard below his hand and his finger extended down the slide of that pistol. Mr. Chance on the left, Sean Gathwright in the middle, and Miss Andrews on the right. They end up leaving that residence. Mr. Gathwright driving the black Impala. They travel from Jacksonville that Saturday afternoon down around near Gainesville, all the way down 75, down to 275, and they come down, and you will see them end up at the Airbnb, which Mr. Rashad Murphy has booked for them, which is sitting literally 1.38 miles from the Home to Suites, just on the north side of the USF campus, University of South Florida. Now, you're going to hear about an investigative device called LPRs. You may know what those are. It stands for license plate recognition. It is a system, in this case, Flock, which is a company that produces these systems. They utilize different camera systems that integrate into their network. In this case, the camera system is from the Florida Highway Patrol. Flock is frequently contracts with cities, with law enforcement agencies. Sometimes they'll put up their...
They got your license plate on the Flock camera. Y'all better be aware of them Flock cameras. They got your license plate.
Own network of cameras, which later plays a role in this case. A lot of times they incorporate other cameras. But when a license plate is put into the system, it can pick that license plate up as it is en route traveling. And in this case, investigation revealed Mr. Gathwright's Chevy Impala being picked up on this license plate reader on June 22nd, 2024. Here it is at the merger of I-75 and 275 heading southbound. You see the latitude, longitude coordinates on the third row up on the right. You see the area or nearest address is New Tampa. It is a Florida Highway Patrol camera. Now, in the top part, 3 rows down, you see the date and you see a time, 11:39:28 p.m. UTC. That is Coordinated Universal Time, what used to be known as Greenwich Mean Time. It is a standard utilized in aviation, utilized in space travel, but is it a standard that that is utilized a lot of times by cell carriers and call detail records from cell phone companies, and it's utilized in law enforcement frequently, but it is a standard time. Here they have given us the conversion to Eastern Daylight Time, which in June, here in the Eastern Standard Time, we are in Eastern Daylight Time, EDT. And you go 4 hours back to 7:39 p.m. So this is them arriving in Tampa at 7:39 p.m. And again, Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, is like Greenwich Mean Time. It's basically the time zone in England.
The Murphys.
Two of our other conspirators, Rashad Murphy on your left and his blood cousin, Davion Murphy, on the right. They are also picked up, this time on an open AALPR. License plate recognition report is generated. They are driving in a silver Chevy Cruze that Mr. Murphy would later tell law enforcement he had obtained from his brother's, the mother of his brother's child, his nephew, a woman, and a car outside of these groups of people, one that would not necessarily be recognized by someone, and a car that would later be utilized by Mr. Chance and his girlfriend as a tracker surveillance video that would be following and tracking, the evidence will show, Charles Jones and his friends as they celebrated through those early morning hours. So you see on the right-hand side here, this is being picked up June 22nd, and they list this company does, in Eastern Daylight Time, 7:46 p.m. at Bruce B. Downs at Tampa Palms. So they are heading into the new Tampa area, heading down just north of the USF campus. Here we see their routes being covered on the right-hand side. Yes, by that Chevy Cruze, the route that it takes coming and going back. On the left-hand side are areas where it is being picked up on license plate readers. Okay, first one on top, June 21st, is going back to Friday. University Drive, Dolphin Drive is an address or an area of Jacksonville. That's when it's still in Jacksonville. 6:22 in the morning, it's driving. It's on Highway 441 at 18:09 hours. That is 6:09 p.m. It is at 326 on Gainesville Road near Gainesville. At 7:47 on the 22nd, Tampa Palms Boulevard in Bruce B. Downs, BBD. And later in the early morning hours, you can see where it is being picked up on Hillsborough and North 15th. And then on the 23rd at 6 p.m. later in the day, again now going back to Jacksonville northbound. That Hillsborough Avenue and North 15th is an address just south of Teasers. You'll see in the evidence that while surveilling the victim and his entourage of friends, that Mr. Chance and Miss Andrews at times drove away from Teasers and then came back. This is showing you on your left side the Chevy Cruze and the Impala being picked up at the same times, the same locations, by the same license plate readers. So you can see they're highlighted at 18:09 hours. They are both being picked up at 326 in Gainesville Road. At 1947 and 1945, they were both being picked up at Tampa Palms Boulevard and Bruce B. Downs. At 3:41 hours, Hillsborough Avenue and 15th Street. This is the Impala and the Cruze operating in tandem, traveling in tandem, coming from Jacksonville, and then operating through into the early morning hours of the attack. This is the Airbnb location at Gazebo Pond Lane, where that red marker is, and that's a direct, as a crow would fly, line down to the home to suites, 1.38 miles. You can see the entire University of Florida campus, University of South Florida's campus between Fletcher and Fowler depicted in that. This is the Airbnb on Gazebo Lane. The door on the left. You can see the Ring camera mounted to the side of the door. Now, this...
And they still went in there. Y'all seen the Ring camera when y'all got there. And y'all still went back to the Airbnb. They cooked.
This is Miss Andrews on the 22nd. She's knocking on the door and she ends up being let in. And you'll hear someone say, "My bad," as she's let in. So there's clearly people inside of the Airbnb. What is significant is on the 22nd, she is the only person who enters through the front door. The rest of the conspirators go this way, down the side of the building, around the back of the building, and they enter through sliding glass doors. They do not allow themselves to be recorded by the camera, by the door, the Ring camera. Miss Andrews is the only one on the 22nd. That changes after the murder they start getting sloppy, the evidence will show, later the next day on Sunday. And they basically, all of them start showing up on that camera. All of them except for Rashad Murphy, the ghost. He doesn't show up anywhere until later. So they go through, and that's where they enter. Now, at 1:40 a.m., Mr. Jones, his friends are arriving at the teasers on North Nebraska around 1:55, close.
Bro, they got their calls mapped out like a baseball field. They just hit a grand slam, bro. It's over.
To 2. He doesn't get there till about 2:30 in the morning in the Dodge Charger. But at 1:40 a.m., 3 hours before the murder, about an hour before this conspiracy, before these conspirators begin their hunt for the victim at teasers, Alicia Andrews' phone leaves the Airbnb and goes to a nearby McDonald's at 2205 East Fletcher. That's 22nd Street in Fletcher. There's a McDonald's there. It's a 24-hour McDonald's. On the right-hand side, you see some cell tower mapping. I'll talk to you about that in a few minutes. But her phone is mapped at that location, and you will see the Chevy Cruze come into the parking lot and work itself through the drive-through lanes. The driver of the Chevy Cruze, you will find in the evidence, is Davion Murphy. Miss Andrews is in the front passenger seat. So now you see Davion Murphy. He is smoking a cigar and he's talking to the young lady working in the McDonald's.
You supposed to be on the hit word about a bop.
Bop it!
Yeah, McDonald's thinking he cool and got a cigar trying to talk to the girl at McDonald's. This is crazy.
You can see someone next to him in a car on the right-hand side. The evidence will show that's Miss Andrews, Mr. Chance's girlfriend. But what is significant is they buy a lot of food, a lot more than for two people. Now, going later in the morning, this is video recovered from the Teasers nightclub on Nebraska, where Mr. Jones had advertised he would be appearing. Mr. Chance and Miss Andrews walking in the parking lot. Mr. Chance is wearing a hoodie, and in June of 2024, he is wearing a COVID mask. Miss Andrews is wearing a COVID mask. You see in that video, Mr. Chance has a phone to his head. He is communicating directly with Mr. Gathright by way of that phone. They are using some type of app that is not picked up. They are not text messaging or making phone calls. But that is Alicia Andrews' phone. So her phone becomes relevant because it is being utilized by Mr. Chance to set up their communications with the assault team. You saw her just a minute.
Now, when they had Alicia trial, I don't remember them showing this when he was actually on her phone. I don't remember. If they did, they did. But I don't remember showing it. But it probably would have been worse for her if they'd have showed this.
Ago, putting in her passcode and handing the phone so Mr. Chance could utilize it. They are there to track and to stalk and to hunt Charles Jones, and then to provide real-time location information to Mr. Gathright, who was driving his Impala with both of the Murphys and the Impala, the assault team. There's the surveillance team. So as I said, and again, this video is slightly off, but Mr. Jones arrives, that's in front, that's the front entrance to Teasers. You see at the bottom, it's 2:29:49 a.m. is the converted time. The date is correct. This is early Sunday morning now. And now you see Mr. Chance still there with his girlfriend. And then around 2:54:22 a.m. real time in the morning, Mr. Jones and his friends leave Teasers. Now,
Crazy.
you will see in the evidence, you will see video evidence of Mr. Chance and Miss Andrews arriving, and you will see the direction that they travel on foot and the direction they travel in the car. They exit shortly before this, they exit, but they stay nearby, and at 2:46 or at 2:54:22, Mr. Jones begins to leave. 2:54:22, shortly or right around the same time, because again, this time on the top of this screen is off a little bit, you will see the Chevy Impala with these three individuals, Rashad Murphy, Sean Gathright driving, and Davion Murphy in that vehicle. It is like within a minute of Mr. Jones coming out of the club and beginning to leave that they arrive on the north end of the parking lot in the Impala. And they pull in, they're going to be right behind the car that's already in. They're the ones pulling in off of Nebraska southbound. And there they are, fully inside of the parking lot. This is the north side of the business. They end up going westbound and then southbound, and then they come back on the road that sits on the south side of Teasers, passing in front of the entrance. This is Mr. Jones and his friends leaving. You see the three cars with the taillights lighting up. The one on the left of the screen is the Charger. So this is the path of travel. The green is Mr. Jones and his friends parked directly in front. That's the front part, the south end of the building. That photograph is in the normal orientation of a map. North on the top, south on the bottom, west to the left, east to the right. So at almost precisely the time that he exits the front to leave, the Impala comes south on Nebraska, pulls into the north end in the red arrows, goes to the west, then to the south, onto South Castle, and comes right by. There are a lot of folks standing in front of that club at that point. Now, the blue markers are the Chevy Cruze. So you can see the Chevy Cruze enters, parks. You see the rectangle on the north side of the parking lot. That's where Mr. Chance parked. The little ovals and dots are where he and Miss Andrews walked. They walked through the parking lot and came around to the south end so they could look down the front of the building and see what was going on while they were on Miss Andrews' phone communicating with Mr. Gathright.
And that's what they should have had playing at Alicia trial. I don't remember them playing that, putting that part in at her trial. But like I said, you know, this second part, we got more on the way. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and make sure y'all check out the playlist, man. Boy Buddha, I'm out.